This is episode number 102 of the Guns Magazine podcast. Hi there, and welcome to the Guns Magazine podcast. I'm your host and the editor of Guns Magazine, Brent Wheat. Thanks for joining us as we talk to the interesting folks who make up the world of shooting, hunting, and the firearms industry. First, before we get started with this episode, let's take a second to talk about our great sponsors. Hodgdon is the presenting sponsor of the Guns Magazine podcast. Available in granular powder and pellets, Hodgdon's family of 777 powders gives muzzleloading enthusiasts a quick cleaning, low-odor black powder substitute for rifle and pistol applications. To learn more about 777, visit hodgdon.com. Our supporting sponsor is IMR Powder. IMR strives to bring new and legendary powders to reloaders in a never-ending process of innovation. Whether you're reloading for your rifle, pistol, shotgun, or muzzleloader, IMR has a powder to fit your needs. Learn more about this great portfolio of powders at imrpowder.com. I'm really excited about our guest today, Bruce Piatt. Bruce is one of the most successful competitors of all time, and in this episode, I get a chance to ask him for his advice on how to become a better shooter and competitor. Whether you compete locally or internationally, it's some good stuff. Now here's my chat with Bruce Piatt. Well, good evening, Bruce.
Hi, Brent. How are you?
I'm glorious, and I'm really glad to be talking to you. You're one of those interviews I've been wanting to do for a while, so I appreciate you taking the time to talk to the Guns Magazine podcast.
Oh, my pleasure. Glad to be here.
Well, we were talking before we got started that I'll get into your minor set of qualifications here, but you and I have at least one thing in common is we were both retired police and about the same era. It looks like you graduated the academy in, I think it was 86 and I graduated in 89. We did about the same number of years and both retired as lieutenant. And you said you'd had enough. And I said, amen, brother.
Yeah, you darn tootin'. Yes. 27 years is about enough for anybody. I don't know how people stay much longer.
Yeah.
And you know when it's time to go. And yeah, I knew. Yeah. And it was nice to leave. I think we got out at the right time.
Exactly. And, great career, got you a lot of opportunity, but it was time to go. And you've kind of done okay since then, I guess you would say.
Yeah. I can, the whole time I was working, I was shooting and I'm still shooting. I'm moved out of New Jersey to a gun friendly state. I'm up in Pennsylvania now. So I'm really enjoying the country life. No doubt. I have a lot of property, so I can hunt on my own property, shoot on my own property. I'm doing my 1911 build classes. The only thing that's holding us back a little bit is the COVID issue, but yeah, we're all working around that, and it seems to be getting a little better. But
very cool.
That's life.
Let me run down this list, and if I've missed something, let me know. Let's see, the 2015 NRA World Shooting Championship winner, the 5-time Bianchi Cup national champion, the 2006 Bianchi Cup world champion, 8-time NRA Action Pistol, 5-time Soldier of Fortune World Tactical 3-Gun champion, and you probably shot against me one of those years, and I didn't even come close to the top 20, so no worries there. 4-time Sportsman's Team Challenge national champion, 3-time USPSA multi-gun national champion, and the 20-time USPSA Law Enforcement Division national champ. You've done a few things, and you're pretty good at it, I would say.
I've lost track of the numbers, but yeah. It's just something I couldn't stop doing, and if you noticed, it's a lot of different disciplines, and I just love to shoot. A lot of the other top shooters are, I hate to say professional shooters because we're not making a ton of money, but we're getting our. I always tell my wife I'm getting my hobby paid for, or help, because it's expensive travel, and it's the travel that it's not the guns and the ammo. I mean, sure, I shoot a lot, but the traveling sure does add up. I did about 10 to 12 major matches a year where you have to get on an airplane every time and hotel bills, and it all adds up. But I was able to shoot everything I wanted to for as long as I can remember. It's been over 30 years that I've been shooting. So I've had a very fortunate life. We've seen the world, Germany, Australia, New Zealand, Italy. It's just, what a life. It's been a lot of fun, and it's all been a hobby. Yeah, for me, that's the way I like to look at it.
And what a hobby it's been. So I got to ask, when you were a cop, were you like a gun guy? Because a lot of cops either fall into the gun guy or the car guy thing. And I'm assuming you were the firearms instructor and all that. I
was right off the bat. They saw the talent and the interest, and sure enough, I was put right in there. So I was the department instructor, sent off to the county academy when they needed an instructor there, and did the whole bit there. Yeah. So
yeah.
Yep.
So let's go with the macro question to start with. So what is it about competition that obviously just strikes a real chord with you?
It's the challenge. I loved shooting hard matches. Nothing, if it comes too easy, I get bored easy. It's something I have to work at and learn. I'm always interested.
Yeah.
So you can, if you go and shoot something that's simple. How do I explain it? If you put your target out at 10 yards and you're shooting bullseyes all the time, and you're happy with that, God bless you, have fun.
Yeah.
But I always move my target out, or I always wanted to shoot faster, and I always wanted to learn how to do it. And I always watched other people doing, heck, I started out just like you or anybody, a newbie. And I started watching Rob Latham and Brian Enos back in the day. And I'm like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
And so it was a challenge how to go fast and how to move on my feet good. And then I saw John Shaw. People hardly remember him now. And Mike Plaxco shoot long range at, I forget where it was, but they were shooting Soldier of Fortune. So I wanted to learn how to shoot rifle and shotgun fast. And so then I did it. But it takes a long time. You have to pay your dues and do your homework. And that's half the fun. If you just pick up a gun and go do it, and it happens right away, I'd be bored.
Yeah.
But it's the homework. It's the going out and every weekend or every chance you get, trying different things to make your performance better. That's what really kept me interested. And because I was a policeman, I didn't have to. It kept this like I said before. This was a hobby for me. This was fun.
Yeah.
I wanted to shoot everything. Even some of the top shooters were saying, Bruce, you shouldn't be doing that. You should focus on one type of shooting. And I go, man, it's not for me. I can't do that. There's other stuff going on. I want to shoot them all. And so, yeah, I just wanted to keep shooting and keep learning. And
yeah.
This day, I still try different things. And I always want to learn something new.
You've mentioned that a couple of times, and I actually had this question for later on, but let's go ahead and tackle it now. Is so many of the really top folks in the competitive world, and I've been fortunate to talk to a lot of them, a lot of them do what you do, which is, they compete in shotgun, they compete in rifle and 3-gun and all that. Why do you think that is? Because it's a very common streak with a lot of these folks I've talked to that they do a little bit of everything.
Yeah, I don't know. The action shooters tend to, I think it's just in our nature that we adapt quickly.
Yeah.
And we are experimenters. I think, I don't want to offend anybody, but I think people like high power shooters. They go to the range, they learn how to shoot. Just an example, they go to the range, they learn from somebody says, okay, this is how you do it. And they sit down and they do it. And okay. So they sit there and they practice that, whether it be high power, whether it be bullseye, or whether it be precision pistol, like the Olympic style stuff. That's the way they're taught, and that's what they do. But an action shooter or an IPSC shooter will always try something different. We're always trying to, because that's even in the courses. It's freestyle. You can shoot it any way you want to, as long as you stay within the safety boundaries. And so it's in our nature to try something new. So whether it's in that sport or go out and shoot something different, we can adapt quickly to changing fields of fire or equipment. So I think it's just in our nature. That's why we do so well.
Well, I think you're probably correct, and it's obviously worked well for you. So now I'm going to ask what sounds like probably the dumbest question of all, but I'm really serious. So what's your secret? Why do you have this incredible resume of all these wins? Can you pin it on one thing, or is it a lot more complicated than that?
People think, I'm going to say it, but I think a lot of it is natural, and people think I'm trying to pull their legs, but I think I could press a trigger good. Simple as that.
Yeah.
And I've always had that ability. I can squeeze the trigger and make accurate shots. I think it's that simple. And I don't know that I don't know if I'm right or wrong. But here's the thing. Angelo Spagnoli, a shooter and law enforcement from years ago, shot in Steel Challenge, and that was back when there was one division. And we all got there together, and we all shot Steel Challenge together. And we're all very close in shooting. I was kind of starting. This was early 90s. But most of the top guys, the top 20 guys, were all grouped very close together in ability. And Angelo won that year, and he did really well. And it was like, wow, how did you do that? And he says, man, I just miss less. He didn't shoot any faster than any of us. He didn't draw any faster. He didn't target the target any faster. He says, I just miss less than you guys.
Wow.
And I think that's what it was. I think that's what helped me definitely for 3-gun. And all right, for 3-gun, I could shoot a long range rifle good. And it's the ability to press that trigger and do my long range hits where other people are sitting there banging away at it, trying to get their hits. I'm able to, if I'm having trouble, a lot of people speed up saying, oh man, I'm having trouble. I got to go faster.
Yeah.
I do just the opposite. I slam on the brakes. I pause for a second and I press that trigger and I make my hit and I'm off. I'm gone. Well, they're still banging away even faster. and you can't miss fast enough to win these things.
Exactly.
And Bianchi Cup, it's all accuracy. And that's all trigger pressing. I did well at Bullseye for a while. That's trigger pressing. I still never mastered that. Yeah, I don't think anybody could ever master it, but I have a lot to learn there. It comes to, I think a lot of it comes down to visual patience on the trigger, and the ability to press the trigger and not jerk that trigger.
Yeah. So what is your typical training regimen? And I realize you multiple disciplines, but when you decide to go to train, practice, what are some of the things you focus on?
Well, most of it, because I lived just outside New York City, I didn't have access to a range very much. I had to drive at least 2 hours to a range.
Wow.
Yeah. So I didn't get to practice an awful lot. So most of my practice or my preparation was gear preparation and knowing my gear was going to work and knowing my zeros. My zeros on rifle for 3-gun. Bianchi, my guns had to work 100%. And so I didn't really practice a lot for any match. Bianchi, I never practiced at home.
Wow.
I would get to the Bianchi 2 days or 3 days before. I'd take 3,000 or 4,000 rounds with me, and I would practice right there at Columbia, Missouri, every year. Huh. I don't have access to a range here for Bianchi. So that's what I did every year. So
a lot of people are hating on you right now. They're not going to say it, but
I know, and they think I'm lying.
Yeah.
But don't get me wrong. In the early days of my IPSC days, I'd sit and I did 20,000-30,000 rounds of ammo. IPSC burning up a day. I can go in one day of practice. This isn't a lot for guys nowadays. I'd burn up 1,000 rounds a day. Mm-hmm. Easy for IPSC. But that was sun up to sundown because like I said, I had to drive 2 hours to this range. So I would drive and I'd make a full day of it.
Yeah.
I'd be worn out. I probably wasn't learning anything, but I felt like I got to go practice. I had to drive all this way. I had to drive over 100 miles to go shoot. So I'm going to make the most of it. And I shot all this ammo. But, I had times where I learned stuff from being so tired. At the end of the day, I'm not gripping the gun so tight. And letting the gun bounce different. And I learned from that. You know, you learn from morning till afternoon what your ability is. It changes throughout the day, and just like a match day, you wake up fresh in the morning, you go out and shoot a stage. In the afternoon, you're shooting different. And if you go at it the same way, you're not gonna have the same results. So I did learn from all that. So if you're paying attention, and I always tell even my students when I teach shooting, you learn from every shot you fire, whether it's a miss or a hit. You still learn something if you're paying attention and you absorb that material in your head. So, yeah.
Well, it sounds like most of your practice, especially in the early days, was just on your own. Did you ever have coaches, or do you think there's value there, or it's more being introspective about what you're doing and your equipment and yourself?
No, there's value to finding quality instruction. There's a learning curve that I could have got over faster. I didn't. I probably, well, back in the day when I was I started shooting in early 80s. There wasn't a lot of instruction back then. But now there's a lot of instructors out there. Vet your instructors, make sure they're good in quality. Just because they can shoot doesn't mean they're good instructors.
Amen.
They have to be able to see what you're doing and have the ability to correct what you're doing and know, and as far as I'm concerned, there's no right or wrong way to shoot. As long as you accomplish the mission, you can shoot in any style you want. What works for one person is not going to work for another. So the ability of a good instructor is to find out what works for you, the student.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, when I first met Robbie Latham, it was at Gunsight, and he does everything completely wrong by modern technique doctrine, but you can't argue with his results. He's pretty good. That's
right. Absolutely. Prime example is when I was shooting Sportsman's Team Challenge, one of my weak point was aerial shotgun, sporting clays, skeet and trap, that kind of thing. So I would go watch the good guys that always did well. And I'm going blank on their names, but two of the older fellows that shot for Winchester, they always did really well. But one was smooth as can be, and the other one was jerky and whipping the gun around, and they both crushed the bird. So I'm like, it was frustrating for me all those years trying to learn because who's right?
Yeah.
And just like I said, there is no right or wrong as long as your end results are correct.
Yeah.
So as long as you can break the bird, do whatever you have to.
Exactly. You know, competition, I think we're entering a new renaissance of competition. It probably hasn't been at the top of everybody's list, maybe over the last decade or so, but I feel like a lot of younger shooters now are very interested, and we're getting a lot of women involved.
Yeah.
I'd like to get your thoughts on, for the folks starting out, because as Americans especially, we tend to focus on the gear. Got to have this gear and, you know, got to use the exact stuff that Bruce Piatt is using. Gear is important, but is that the first place you would suggest somebody start, or if they're going to start competing in their local matches, what exactly do you think they need to be doing?
No, if you already own guns, I would get out to local matches and participate. Ask questions, watch what other people are doing, and see the good thing about, especially in USPSA or IDPA or any of the action, three gun, any of those sports, if you go and ask somebody, hey, do you like that gun? I would bet there's somebody's going to say, here, you know, let's go. You're welcome to try it. Here's some ammo. Go shoot. Before you go dumping down, you know, $3,000-$5,000 on a gun, somebody's going to let you shoot theirs. So if you have a simple Glock or a Smith M&P or something, that's fine. You can compete. You can go out and have fun at a match with that gun. Learn a lot while you're shooting that and still competing before you go plunk down all your money on a gun that you really don't like or doesn't suit you well. Mm-hmm. So take your time, go out and be there. Make sure this is a sport you want to do, and make educated decision on what gun you want to purchase. And the people there at the matches will help you. All you have to do is ask.
Yep, exactly. So is there one single exercise you recommend, steady trigger pulling, bullseye shooting, or is there one thing they ought to spend most of their time focusing on?
Depends on the game you're playing. I always like to, as soon as I get to the range, right off the bat, I do an accuracy test. I shoot some groups. And then if I'm doing like a 3-gun practice or a USPSA practice, I will get some speed drills, speed up a little bit, multiple targets, transitioning from one to another. Then I'd get some footwork in. But by the end of the day, when I'm ready to go, I always go back and I shoot some groups at the end of the day. I don't know why, but it's always worked good for me. It reinforces that accuracy is more important than anything else for me. Yeah, that's what I do. I always go back and if I start with shooting groups, and even if it's 20 rounds at the end of the day, I always shoot groups at the end of the day. Make sure everything's right. Yeah. And then you're putting away a gun that you're hitting at the right spot. You know it's working accurately. Nothing broke at the end of the day, or nothing wore out. So it's just, there's a lot of reasons why I do it, but it's just something I've always done, and I encourage my students to do it too.
Well, you also teach gunsmithing. Talk a little bit about that side of your career.
Well, that started the classes started when I retired from police, but I've been working on my guns as long as I can remember. Back in the early days when I first started, I'd never touched my guns. I thought, it was the holy grail that you have to be a gunsmith to work on a gun. I didn't want to. Well, first of all, I didn't have the knowledge. I didn't have the tools, and I didn't know what I was doing, so I didn't touch them. So I would drive from New Jersey to Pennsylvania to a local gunsmith. Baylor Precision was the closest guy I knew to work on any of my guns. I'd be back and forth from there, and that was another 2.5-hour drive. And I'm a tinkerer. I'm a hands-on, want to learn guy. I want to do my own stuff. So any chance I got, I was watching gunsmiths. I wanted to learn myself. I said, this is crazy going back and forth. And once I started watching, I said, man, this stuff isn't hard. I just need the knowledge.
Yeah.
So every chance I got, I was trying to pick the gunsmith's brain. I was lucky enough to be sponsored by John Nowlin Sr. Back in the 90s, and he gave me a personal lesson down at his place in Oklahoma. I learned a lot from him, and so I ended up able to build my own guns.
Yeah,
by hand. I don't use a mill or a lathe. I just bought my first mill when I retired, but I teach how to build single stack 1911s by hand without a mill or a lathe in 5 days. So a student can come in and we buy, I give them a tool and a parts list. They go out and buy all the parts they need. Their custom parts from Caspian Arms have to be a frame and slide from Caspian Arms, so that everybody's on the same page. And we fit frame to slide, barrel fitting, trigger jobs. Every single part that goes in that 1911 gets tuned and fitted into that gun. Nothing comes out of a bag and dropped into a 1911. So by the end of the week, that gun's together, and we're test firing it and making sure it runs good. I teach them how to spring it while we're test firing. Teach them how to tune it to make it shoot good. And at the end of 5 days, they've built a 1911 with their own two hands in any caliber they want. Well, within reason, 45, 9mm, 38 super comp, 10mm 40. So yeah, it's a challenge. It's long, hard days, but everybody leaves there smiling.
Yeah.
Everybody says, "Man, it's hard," but they love it. So yeah, it's a lot of fun, and everybody leaves happy. I've never had a dissatisfied customer.
It seems like sometimes people nowadays think, well, if I don't have a CNC machine and, all that kind of stuff, I can't build guns. Well, how did you think they originally did it?
That's exactly right. And back in the day, they took old 1911 junkers from the GI surplus that rattled around, and they welded them all up, and they did exactly what I was doing. They fit them by hand. And now all the parts from Caspian or the barrels are all oversized, so it's already ready to go. You just have to know how to do it. And sure, it's a little scary, and you spent a lot of money on these parts, but it's a step-by-step process. It's no, any big complicated job is done by step, and that's how my classes run, one step at a time. And I'm there to show you. I show you how to do it. I explain why you're doing it is the biggest thing, and then I send you out on your own, and people are doing it. I'm right there to help them on their while they do it. So
excellent. Well, you also work on AR-15s, kind of without getting down into the weeds too far, but what are some of the things you focus on when you're putting a gun together for yourself or somebody else?
For a rifle, they're all task specific. I mean, it depends what you're going to do with it. Starting with good quality parts. I haven't built a lot of them, but I used to be with DPMS for many years. Randy Luth sponsored me for years, and I was always with him. So I was using his stuff for a long, long time. So it all depends what you're doing with that gun. Just quality parts is what you want to stick with. Be careful. There's some junk out there. You get what you pay for. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
That goes with everything.
Exactly.
There's MIM parts out there, metal injection molding parts out there. No, I'm not a fan.
Well, there are so many things out there nowadays that you shouldn't have to buy substandard parts when we all know who's making the good stuff. So just spend the extra $1 or two and get it right from the beginning.
Yep. Save yourself. Just the whole thing is you're spending all that time and effort to fit it correctly. And then if it's sub quality, it's going to, you end up failing, and you're going to have to do all that work again. And in the worst part, if you're working on a gun that you're betting your life on, you certainly don't want inferior products. And if you're using it for competition, it's going to fail of course it's going to fail in the middle of a match, not in practice day. So
exactly.
Invest the money and do it right. And that's why the new shooters should go to a match, ask the people that have already paid their dues and have been there before. They'll be sure to tell you where to go buy some good stuff.
Yeah. Well, you've certainly paid your dues, and as we've talked, we're both guys of a certain age, roughly. How long do you think you're going to do this? Because it is a very physical skill.
There's always a match for you to shoot. As long as the eyes hold out, I think I'll be doing this for until they're wheeling me up in a wheelchair. I don't know. Yeah, I enjoy it. It's just like when when I was a policeman. I'll probably do it until I don't enjoy it anymore. Simple as that. Yeah. But my body's holding out. I can shoot Bianchi. Certainly I'm not shooting 3-gun like I used to. I'm 60 years old. I'm not running and moving like I used to. But I still enjoy it when I do it. It's what's the most fun now is getting out and seeing my friends that I've met over the years, and the only time I see them is out at matches. Yeah, it's more of a social thing now than getting out and winning. It's always nice to do. Yeah, it sure is fun to see my friends out there.
And that's the natural follow-on question, and I always get a big pause when I ask this. So, of all the stuff you do in terms of competition and shooting styles and all this, what's your favorite?
Wow. Yeah, there's that pause. What's my favorite? Man. Because I shoot so many disciplines, man, I like them all. I really like Bianchi the most. Yeah. And not just because I do well at it, because I know I could do every time I leave a match, even if I win, I still know I can do better. Yeah. There's still a score that I could always get tighter groups. Yeah. Yeah, because that's an accuracy specific match, and man, I want to get 192 X's. Nobody's ever done it.
And keep trying, right?
Yeah. Done it in practice, but can't do it.
Oh, wow. Incredible.
Can't do it at the match.
Well, we're talking about careers and, a great career. What haven't you done at this point?
Wow. In shooting, what haven't I done?
Yeah. Or you want to do, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Well, to be honest, I want to get into, I want to start shooting PRS or NRL, that long range rifle.
Yeah.
I've shot long range rifle before, just not in the PRS format. I've done some long range stuff, but it's PRS kicked off when, right as I was retiring and moving and trying to get my new house in PA all set up. So I have the guns. They're sitting in my safe. I just haven't had a chance to get out and get my dope and do it. See, and when I do that, I need the time. I don't want to take away from what I already do. I don't want to take away from my classes, and I don't want to take away from Bianchi and the other matches. So it's a timing issue. You have to put your priorities somewhere, and someday.
Well, that's what keeps us going. Is there's always one more project to do tomorrow.
Yep.
Bruce, you are again one of the most successful competitors on earth. I will say that. How can folks learn more about you, the courses you teach, and of course we got to mention your sponsors and tell us all that good stuff.
Well, I have a website at brucepyatt.com. You can learn more there. You can go on. I have some videos up on YouTube. I've been with my sponsors. Help me out a lot. I've been with Caspian Arms my entire career. Never left them. They were my first sponsor to give me a call and start helping me out. They build awesome 1911 parts for the gunsmiths to build. I'm with Burris Optics, H&M Black Nitride, Sierra Bullets, and Starline Brass since the 90s, and Vitavori Powder. All good stuff. I've been with all of them for years. They've helped me out a lot over the years, and I really appreciate all they do for me.
Excellent. And I appreciate that kind of on short notice we got this thing put together. We've actually been talking for a couple of months, and your schedule is somewhat daunting. So I do appreciate that we're actually recording this in an evening, quite a bit after work. So Bruce, it's been great, and I really am pleased that you took time to explain the secrets of Bruce Piatt. And
did I give away those secrets? Oh my goodness!
You're in trouble now. Yeah. Hey, if that was the case, I'd be winning everything, and that you're in no danger of that. So, but anyway, we appreciate it, and we will talk to you later.
I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
It would certainly take days to scratch the surface on all of Bruce Piatt's secrets to shooting success, but I hope you found our chat interesting and informative. And with that, I also sincerely hope you're enjoying the Guns Magazine podcast. Guns Magazine was first on the newsstand, and today we're bringing you the most interesting chats in the gun world. If you've got any questions or comments about the show, please email me. That's editor@gunsmagazine.com. Make sure you subscribe to us on your favorite podcast directory, YouTube, and of course at gunsmagazine.com. And while you're online, don't forget to check out our great sister publications, American Handgunner Magazine at AmericanHandgunner.com, AmericanCop.com, and our numerous special editions available on our websites. I'd also appreciate it if you'd share a favorite episode or some kind words on your own social media. And finally, don't forget to check out the presenting sponsor of the Guns Magazine podcast, Hodgdon Powder, along with our supporting sponsor, IMR Powder. See their complete lineup of great black and smokeless powders at Hodgdon.com or IMRpowder.com. That's it for this episode of the Guns Magazine podcast. For the entire staff at FMG Publications, I'm Guns Magazine editor Brent Wheat. Now get out there and get shooting.